Hi everyone, most of you watch my channel without subscribing. Please subscribe if you like my stories. Have a good rest. The sirens of the fire truck fade behind me as I exit the vehicle and pause on the sidewalk to take a deep breath. Billowing smoke fills the night sky above the burning building. Never in a million years. I never thought I'd be in this situation. It's just another hazardous day at work. I'm thinking about Tina and our daughter Emmy, who's visiting Tina's mom this weekend without me. I really wish I could have gone with them, but I've got to do this. The life of a firefighter in a major city doesn't allow for much flexibility. Well, when it comes to family vacations, I think regretfully, suddenly the radio on my belt crackles to life. Mike, we've got a family emergency for you. Step aside from this call. My heart drops into my stomach. Family emergency, I say out loud in shock. I scrambled to grab my cell phone off my belt, noticing several text messages from Emmy. With shaking hands, he quickly calls her back. "Oh, it's you, Emmy." She says she's fine, but she sounds upset. I ask her what happened. She says she was riding her bike and had a bad fall. Her arm is really sore, she feels nauseous, and her shoulder is hurting. I'm on my way, but I need to stay calm for Emmy's sake. Everything will be okay, honey. I love you so much, and I'm on my way. Stay strong. After hanging up, I close my eyes tight and whisper a desperate prayer. God, please watch over my girls and keep them safe. In my worst nightmares, I never imagined rushing to my daughter's hospital bed. But by the grace of God, I'll be there for Tina and Emmy now, in their time of need. This is one fire, one crisis that I absolutely refuse to let rage out of control. The sterile white walls of the hospital waiting room I could feel it closing in on me as I waited for news about my injured daughter. Finally, a nurse in blue scrubs emerged, and I was relieved to hear that Emmy had only suffered a broken wrist in the accident. However, my relief turned to confusion and dread when I asked where my wife Tina was. Her eyes were red and she replied, "I'm not sure. I haven't seen her yet." At that moment, Amy's friend Susan rushed into the waiting room. Her eyes were red from crying. "Oh, Mike," she said, grabbing my hands. "It was awful. I saw it happen. And I was the one who called, but Tina wasn't there. I feel the blood." I asked, my voice trembling, "What do you mean she wasn't there?" Susan hesitated, her gaze faltering, and clutched the edge of her floral dress, the fabric crinkling beneath her tense grip. "Instead of being here with Amy," the words hang in the air like a heavy fog, thick and suffocating. I feel betrayed, angry and disbelieving. My mind races, tracing the outline of events, each detail forming a jagged puzzle piece. I feel a surge of anger, but I try to stay calm. I ask Susan, "Who is she?" Susan explains that Mark is someone Tina knows from her hometown. While she's talking, we locate Tina on my phone and see the address of a local hotel. I work as a firefighter, so I'm often on call at my workplace. I need to know my location at all times, so I have a location program on my phone. I installed the same program on my daughter and wife's phones, and I used it to easily locate her. It's nearly 10 p.m. I've been texting Tina, but she hasn't replied. I'm getting worried. I'm really angry about what she's done, but I'm trying to focus on helping Emmy. The doctors give her a cast and refer her to an orthopedic specialist when she goes home. Her friend Susan is going to drive her back to her grandmother's house. Please text me updates. I'm sorry you had to find out about this, Mark. When I think about what she was really doing on those trips, it makes my skin crawl. Meanwhile, I've worked countless hours at overtime to give Tina and Emmy the best possible life. I've responded to late emergency calls at the fire station, missed birthdays and family events, and paid off our mortgage to pay for nice vacations every year, and for Emmy to go to the most prestigious private school in the city. I was such a fool to believe all those lies. I get in my truck and start driving on autopilot. I didn't even realize where I was going until I was suddenly in the parking lot of the Crystal Hotel downtown, where there was a shiny black SUV parked right beside a flashy red sports car. In that moment, I knew my marriage was over. I sat in the parking lot gripping the steering wheel in white-knuckled rage. I imagined Tina upstairs in a luxury suite, laughing coy as she entertains her rich new lover. The image sears itself into my mind, 15 years of trust and sacrifice thrown away for a cheap affair. I gave Tina everything, and she betrayed me when I needed her most. Our vows meant nothing to her in the end. I feel the urge to march upstairs and confront them. I want to unleash the volcanic fury churning inside me, but I restrain myself, knowing I need to handle this the right way. The law will be on my side. Tina broke our marriage, so now I must do what's best for me and Emmy. We will start a new chapter without Tina poisoning our lives tonight. Looking up the cold hotel windows, I accept that my old life is gone, but from this rubble, we will build something better. I barely had time to process the betrayal as it ate away at me all night. As soon as the sun rose, I made some calls and was desperate for help and advice on how to navigate this nightmare. Many friends wisely suggested that I speak with a divorce lawyer as soon as possible. So, the first thing in the morning, I contacted the sharpest family law attorney in town, Sho Riley, for an urgent meeting. Sheila outlined my options and rights. She was really firm and said the first thing I needed to do was to secure my finances. I realized that Tina had always just used my credit cards and bank accounts. She didn't have much personal access to her money, so I took her off as an authorized user on all my credit cards straight away. Then I enabled two-factor authentication and changed all the passwords on our accounts to block. Then Tina told me to pull my credit report and scan for any unknown activity. I logged in with my usual trepidation, and there it was, a new joint credit card account opened by Tina without my knowledge. I was pretty shocked, to be honest. How could I not have noticed? I took a deep breath and clicked on the statement link. The less of the charges over the past 6 months told a tale. I saw evidence of deception, extravagant restaurants, hotels, jewelry purchases, couples, NES, and trips. I never knew about a perfect timeline of Tina's cheating. This will be very useful evidence. Shayla nodded. I left her office reeling but empowered. I had been blind but no longer. She thought she could betray me and escape unscathed, but I would not make this easy. For her, for me and Emmy, I'm going to fight the credit card company. I've been looking at our phone bills and there's a lot more to this than I first thought. Tina created dating app accounts behind my back. The evidence is pretty shocking, but I'm going to keep looking into it. I need to know the full truth. I've got an old high school friend, Jack Thompson, who can help me out. I called the deputy fire chief in town, Jack. I was shaking with anger. Jack, I need your help. Tina's been cheating. I'm confronting her tonight when she gets home. Can you be there as an official witness? Jack replied, sorry to hear that. I'll be there. Just say when before Tina returns. I've booked her a room at a hotel for the week. I paid up front. I want her gone from our house. As soon as possible, starting tomorrow, she can figure out her new living situation on her own. I feel a mix of anger and sadness over how Tina destroyed our family, but I must stay focused and do what's necessary to protect me and Ari. It's a calm Saturday evening as I sit waiting in the living room. Every muscle in my body is tense, and the clock ticks loudly on the wall, counting down. The minutes tick by until Tina arrives. Our daughter Emmy is safely with my parents for the night. Her wrist is broken and in a cast at the hospital. But Tina never showed up during Amy's time of need because she was too busy entertaining her lover Mark behind my back. The mere thought of it makes me angry again, but I take a slow, deep breath, trying to calm down. I can't help but feel that a reasonable dialogue with Tina and Jack as sober witnesses would be beneficial right now. Tina arrives at the agreed time, humming and carrying shopping bags. She smiles when she sees me and says she did some retail therapy on the way home and got some great deals. I cut her off sharply and ask where she was when our daughter was lying in, and earlier today, Tina's smile vanished and her eyes widened. What happened to Emmy? She fell while riding her bike and broke her wrist badly. She was in a lot of pain and scared, and she looked for her mom, crying, "But you weren't there." I stared at Tina intently. "Oh my God, my poor baby," Tina gasped. "Is she? Okay, why didn't you tell me right away?" I stand up from the couch, hands clenching into fists. "Tina, you're going to have to explain why you missed our daughter's injury and why Amy's friend Susan had to sit with her instead of her own mother." Tina stammers her lies, tangling up. "I had just lost track of time. You know how I get when I'm shopping. I didn't have my phone on. This is ridiculous. What's even more ridiculous is you abandoning our child to go have dinner with some guy named Mark." I retort. Jack puts a hand on my shoulder, reminding me to stay calm. Tina scoffs, crossing her arms defensively. "It was just a friendly I met, Mike. Don't be so dramatic about it. Why are you attacking me when my daughter needs us right now? I'm starting to get angry. How dare you try to justify your betrayal when I've done nothing but provide for this family? Tina rolls her eyes. Here we go again. Saint Mike with his self. You're delusional. You didn't betray anyone. Let's cut to the chase. There's no need for violence. He looks at Tina. Your husband has evidence of an affair with Mark Sanders at the Crystal Hotel. Multiple eyewitnesses place you there during the time your daughter was injured today. You'll need to account for that. The blood drains from. Tina's face shows her searching my eyes pleadingly. Mike, this is all just a huge misunderstanding. I love you and Emmy so much, we can work through this. I take the hotel keycard from my pocket and hold it up. No, it's over, Tina. Your things will be sent to you. I've paid for this hotel room for the week. After that, you're on your own. You can figure out your new living situation when you leave here. Tina bursts into tears, pleading with me. I feel nothing but cold detachment now. She did this to herself and to our family. The consequences can no longer be avoided. Shock spreads across her face. She yells, I can't just throw you out. I slam the credit card statements down in front of her. The evidence is all there. Tina, you thought I wouldn't find out. Get out. She tries apologizing. I'm not affected by her tears. Tina brought this on herself, so now she'll have to face the consequences. Jack takes the upset Tina to his car to take her to the hotel. I slump onto the couch, head in hands. My old life is gone, shattered by betrayal. But I'm optimistic that Emmy and I can start fresh without Tina's toxicity. Tomorrow is a new day. It's time to rebuild our lives. From this wreckage, I cling to the belief that eventually we will be happy once more. The next day, I went to the grandparents' house to talk to my daughter about the situation. I find Emmy sitting on her bed, eyes red from crying. I'm really sad to see the hurt and confusion on her face. I sit down gently next to her. We need to have a talk, sweetie. I explain as delicately as I can what occurred. With her mom and Mark, how Tina betrayed our trust and we're leaving for a while. Amy's lip quivers. Mom cheated on you and on me. How could she do this to us? Angry tears roll down her cheeks. I embrace Emmy as she vents her pain. I hate her. I never want to see her again. As I hold Emmy close, I feel profound sadness for the trauma Tina has caused. This is a one no child should have to bear. I know you're hurting, Amy. What your mom did was unforgivable, but we're going to get through this together. I promise. We sit like that for a long time, as evening shadows stretch across her bedroom. My next priority is finding a good therapist for Emmy to speak with. Her world has been turned upside down and she needs help processing this emotionally. Thankfully, I can help with that. The firefighter health insurance plan is excellent. That's one less thing to worry about as I look for counseling options. Tina won't charge us a fortune for legal fees either. For tonight, I tuck Amy into bed and hum her favorite lullaby from when she was little. She falls into a fitful sleep soon after. My heart aches for Amy's lost innocence, but I know she's strong and I'll be there for her always. We will get through this together as a family. In the evening, I'd pulled myself together and made a difficult phone call to Tina's mother. I had the unpleasant but necessary task of informing Tina's mother of what had happened. Tina had always been exceptionally close with her mom, Jan. They spoke on the phone every day like best friends. I dreaded having to reveal her daughter's betrayal, but she deserved to know. I had to tell her the truth, even though I was still upset. I called Joan and she answered on the second ring. She sounded as cheerful and warm as usual. Mike, how are you? Hello, Joan, I'll have something difficult to discuss with you. I told her everything, the affair, Amy's accident, the confrontation, and Tina moving out. Joan was silent for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. Mike, this is nonsense. Our Tina would never cheat. There must be some mistake. I understood her instinct to defend her child, but I needed to make Joan see reason. Joan, I wish it wasn't true, but I have substantial evidence, credit card receipts and eyewitness accounts. Tina admitted it herself. Please don't make me share the painful details. Jor huffed in, saying, I need proof before I can't believe the awful things they're saying about my daughter. Where is she now? I was starting to lose my patience, but I stayed calm. She's gone from her home for good. I've already booked her a hotel room. Tina made her choice despite the damage to our family. I spent over an hour slowly and methodically outlining the case against her. I talked about the hidden credit card, the expensive purchases, the dating app activity with each. New revelation. Joan's tone shifted from indignant to dismayed. By the end, she was outraged and disbelieving at her own daughter's duplicitous actions. I could hear the heartbreak in her voice. We ended the call politely, but I knew a fracture had formed, and one more relationship ruined by Tina's cruel infidelity. Update. The next few weeks after Tina's betrayal, there were lots of legal meetings and paperwork to sign, as well as endless meetings at my lawyer's office. I'd already met with Charlotte O'Reilly, who's known as the best divorce attorney in town. Shad went over all the evidence I'd gathered about Tina's infidelity. He said that with proof this substantial, we can pursue an A-fault divorce on grounds of adultery. So, I was in the best position regarding custody, assets, and support payments. That's when the legal process began. I tried pleading with Shayla to reconsider, saying it was all a huge mistake. But she was unmoved. She made her choice that night and was determined to see this through at every turn. Shayla was a fierce advocate, using Tina's own misdeeds against her in affidavits. She recounted Tina's emotional neglect of our daughter after the accident, as well as her mysterious absences and excessive spending, highlighted in credit card statements. After the accident, she neglected our daughter. She was also absent a lot and spent a lot of money on credit cards. Susan said she had an affair. The Downing paper trail was used in my IMP plant case. The evidence was built up brick by brick. Tin's lawyer tried to say the evidence was only circumstantial, but Shayla wouldn't give in. In the final mediation session, we looked at each other across the table. My wife, the woman I had loved for 15 years, looked like a stranger to me now. Her eyes were sunken with shame and misery. Sheila said, "My client is seeking full legal custody of their daughter. We also expect possession of the family home and 70% of marital assets." Tina was shocked, but she didn't have anything to say in reply. Even her lawyer seemed to accept that the truth was going to come out eventually. I was granted everything: full custody of Emmy, the house we had bought together, and a large share of our savings and investments. Tina would get a smaller split plus temporary spousal support. She walked out of the courtroom. I let out a huge breath. The divorce was finalized, and this painful chapter was closed. I gave my dad a handshake and said, "I'm so glad you're my custody parent. I want to stay with you." Her words filled me with joy. The house may have felt emptier, but being there for Emmy gave me purpose. I told her it would take time to adjust to our new normal. Tina called later, asking to see Emmy, but I said no. She couldn't just walk back into our lives like nothing had happened. If she showed real change, I might consider supervised visits. But for now, I needed space to heal. Tina would have to face up to what she'd done. The following weeks were tough, with work, the house, and Emmy's emotional needs to juggle. But we found a rhythm and a routine, with pancake breakfasts, and Annie catching me up on school and college stuff. At night, we had a good laugh over inside jokes. Sometimes the dark silence of Tina's absence was hard to bear, but focusing on the future helped us move forward. Anna was really thriving in her independence, and I realized that although my old life was gone, I was building something better from the ashes. I was creating a stable home filled with trust, compassion, and hope. And hope that things would get better with time. We had made it through the tough times and our relationship was stronger than ever. Meanwhile, Tina's new life started to unravel. The man she'd betrayed our family for, Mark, turned out to be a serial cheater. He disappeared, leaving her heartbroken and penniless. It was a painful lesson. Tina was forced to face the consequences of her actions. Part of me wanted revenge for all the pain she had caused, but I decided the best way to protect myself and Amy was to expose her lies. She was left to face the consequences of her selfish actions while I focused on rebuilding a stable life. I was loving life for me and my daughter. In the end, the best revenge was not in causing Tina more pain, but in showing her that despite the betrayal, she had ultimately not broken me. I was clearly not the naive fool I initially thought myself to be. I had proven to be a survivor. This painful chapter was closing, but my story was far from over.